Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about 5 things that you can do today to start actually saving money, whether it's in your small business or whether it's in life. 5 things. Stay tuned. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Frank. I am a small business owner and an entrepreneur. And what I'm going to share with you today are 5 tips that you can start doing today that will actually save you some money. Now, when I originally decided to do this video, I was thinking about it from a small business perspective, but the reality is this really applies to anybody in any circumstance, whether you're running a small business or planning to start a small business, or you've got a 9-to-5 job, or you're a student. All of these tips and secrets really apply to you. And like I said, you can actually start using them to save some money today. Now, before we get going, if you haven't subscribed, if this is the first time you've been to this channel, please subscribe using the subscribe button below and ding that little bell, and then that way you'll be notified when I post new videos. I do put out new videos on a weekly basis. All right, so tip number 1, which really is a pretty straightforward thing, but you'd be surprised how many people don't really think about this. And that is, before you buy something, consider whether or not this is a necessary service or necessary product. And what I mean by that is we all are tempted to buy different things. And a lot of these things that we buy just end up sitting around. We might use them once or twice or for 6 months, and then they basically, don't get used again. And, it's always a good idea to just take a little time before you actually purchase any product or service. There's no reason to purchase anything today, right now. It always is a good idea to kind of sleep on it. But this kind of brings us to tip number 2. And tip number 2 has to do is, if you've decided that this is actually a product or service you want, why not consider buying it used? You don't necessarily need to buy a brand new product. You don't need to buy a brand new camera. You don't need to buy a brand new computer. There are quite often great deals available on eBay, on Craigslist, that will give you exactly what you want for 30 or 40% off what the retail price is. So before you actually go out and buy something, first of all, consider whether you want to buy it, but then if you do want to get it, check out Craigslist or eBay first before you actually go buy it brand new. You'd be surprised how much stuff is available out there. All right, tip number 3 here is about the services that you currently have. For example, most people these days will have a cell phone, and cellular companies are constantly renegotiating services and putting out deals. I shouldn't say renegotiating services. That's what we're going to talk about, is renegotiating service. But they constantly are coming out with packages or deals or incentives to get people to basically buy their service. And if you actually call the cellular company on say every 6 months and talk to them, you'd be surprised. Ask them, have them review your bill with you, see how much you're spending, and ask them if there's additional packages available. You'll be surprised that quite often there are better packages available for you that you can take advantage of. And I personally do this every 6 months. I will take a look at my cell bill, I'll see how many minutes I'm using, and then I'll call the cellular company and ask them what type of deals are available. Now, the other thing you can do, which is, I guess you can kind of look on it as a little bit sneaky, but play these carriers against each other. So here in Canada, for example, we've got about 4 different carriers. There's Cellular, there's TELUS, there's Rogers, Bell, and some other ones. In the US, you have even more than that, AT&T, Verizon, lots of competition. And if you actually threaten to leave your cellular company for a different one, you'd be surprised at what types of things they will offer you to keep you there, because ultimately they don't want you to go away, and your money is important, and their agents are trained to do, in most cases, whatever they can to keep you. So it's not such a bad thing to say, hey, listen, I'd like this deal because I know I got offered this deal from Verizon and it's $10 a month cheaper, and I'm considering going over there, and just see how it plays out, because you could wind up with a much better deal. All right, so tip number four kind of goes along with tip number 3, but it has more to do with everything that you currently have. At least every 6 months, take a look at all of your financial statements, your bank statements, your credit card statements, everything that you're getting, and see if there's any services there that potentially you're paying for that you won't be using or that you aren't using. And I see this a lot, especially in my small business, where I have a whole bunch. I probably have 10 or 15 different items that I'm paying $15 to $20 a month for, maybe $30 a month for. They typically are services that are internet based. And I started off using them to run my business, but as time went on, they really became unnecessary. Maybe I replaced them with something else, or maybe I just stopped using them. But I'm still getting dinged $20 or $30 a month every single month for these services. So it's really important to actually go through your bills, your financial information, and see if you do have any of these services that you're using that you no longer need, and cancel them. Because you'd be surprised if you even $10 a month or $20 a month, over the course of the year, that's a couple $100. That couple $100 could be much better spent, using for something else, or just in your pocket, or saving it, or using it to pay off your credit card debt or whatever. All right, so that leads us to tip number 5, which I just kind of alluded on, which is credit card debt. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things about credit card debt, because interest is just a killer. I mean, if you've got any credit card debt, you're probably paying 18, 19, 20%. If you're lucky, you may have one that's at 12 or 13%. And I know a lot of videos will come out and say, just pay off your credit card debt. But the reality is it's freaking hard to pay off credit card debt. It takes a long, long time, especially if you've built up quite a bit. So here's a couple of things that I've personally done in the past, and you can seriously consider whether or not they would work for you as well. The first thing is, call your credit card company and see if you can negotiate a better rate. And you would be surprised. Let's say you're paying 19.5% for one of your credit cards. You may be able to get it down to 18 or 17% just by calling them and asking for a better rate. Now, I'm not going to say this happens all the time. They may have given you the best rate that you can get, but it does not hurt to ask. So it's something that you can do, something you can try. Pick up the phone, call that credit card company, say, can I get a better rate? Now, the second thing you can do is if you have multiple credit cards, but if you've got room on that credit card, what you can do is you can do something called a balance transfer. Now, I'm going to give you the pros and cons of doing a balance transfer. The pro is you can typically get it at a pretty good rate. So they may say, for the next 6 months or 8 months or a year, it's going to be 1.5% interest plus percentage of whatever the balance is that you're transferring. And you will save money. If you do the math, you will absolutely save money on that by taking advantage of it. Now, where the credit card companies get you is if you go that full year and you keep that credit card debt with them, then boom, your interest rate's going to go way up and you're going to end up paying for it. You're still going to have saved money over the year, but they will keep you along. Now, the other place where they will get you is if you actually miss any of your payments, they're going to bump that rate right back up there as well. So it's really important to make sure that you make all your payments. Now, if you have a couple of credit cards, and this is what I personally did, I had a few credit cards that had this option available. I actually shuffled my debt from credit card to credit card. At the time each rate was expiring, I was able to actually pay off all of my credit card debt, basically a really low interest rate, maybe 1.5% interest. So it is something that is possible to do, but it works. And I know that for a fact. I speak from experience. Anyways, those are the 5 tips that I hope are going to help you. And once again, if this is the first time here and you did get something out of this, please subscribe below, ring that little bell, and I will see you next week. Thank you very much.